any sign in the zodiac, people tend to think that, oh, if you have a lot of a certain sign, if your sun sign is that, or you've got some strong energy of that sign, oh, you came into search, you're naturally good at this. And I don't have that belief. There are other astrologers who will tell you that is true. I am not of that belief. I am of the belief that you are not naturally good at those things. You have a strong propensity to be good at them. You have a strong desire to be good at them. You are here on this earth actually to learn how to do those things. And so for a lot of people with real strong Cancer energy, they want to do the hiding, instead of feeling the emotions, because they're actually here to learn to do the emotions.
This season on the Living Out Love podcast, we are focusing on you, who you are, what motivates you, what you're here to contribute, and how you can expand. We'll be utilizing my leadership skills and spiritual connection, diving deep into the Enneagram and astrology. Listen every week to become intimately aware of yourself. Only then can you heal and grow. Let's get to work, loves. Hello, loves. Welcome to the chaos of Cancer. Just kidding. So, behind the scenes update, guys. We have already recorded this episode, and due to some technical difficulties, we're doing it again. And on top of that, we were talking, the lovely Suzanne, I'll let her speak in a minute. We were talking about the way that the episodes typically work, how I've created this outline, and really all the questions, most of the questions overlap. And we just want to make sure that you are getting everything and the best of everything. And I want to make sure that I leave no stone unturned, but also we don't want to bore you and run too long. So this episode's just going to be different. I might just check in with Suzanne about the outline or just the questions and repeating selves. And just know that we both want to give you a quality episode every time. And because we're having to repeat it, we're feeling extra oomph about it, I guess. I don't know. How are you, Suzanne?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, ready to dive into Cancer. I mean, yeah, everything that happened, with it being non-existent, it did kind of feel Cancerian because it was emotional and it was like, kind of forcing you to, oh, just really, dive into the feelings of it. And so that felt, apropos, I suppose.
Oh, that's fascinating. What a beautiful reflection. Well, so describe Cancer. If Cancer was a person or a being, what is the zodiac sign of Cancer?
Yeah. Cancer, typically the archetype of Cancer, of what we think is known as like the mother, the
Mm.
healer, the hermit. All of those three things kind of embody that sign of Cancer. The mother and the healer, there's definitely some overlapping ideas there. The mother ultimately is somebody that really works, to heal their
Mhm.
children, and to keep them safe and all of those kinds of things. It's kind of like the warm embrace, the comfort of that mother archetype, of the healer archetype, and the hermit being that, we're talking about, Cancer, that means crab. And cancers are hiding in their shells literally their whole lives. And on the last episode that we already recorded, we talked a lot about how about how the the actual sign of Cancer, it really, as a comparison and an example of what the sign embodies, it really embodies the sign so well. There's some of the signs where you look at it and you go, okay, yeah, that matches, but
Yeah.
not as much. But the crab, Cancer really, really is that crab in so many ways. It's just such a great metaphor. So they hide out their whole lives. They just want to be safe in their little houses, and yeah.
Yeah. I said before, when we were doing Taurus season, I was like, I'm not a bull, I'm a cow, you know, and I can be a bull, but I just felt like the whole sign got put in shadow. And
Hmm.
I love the Cancer symbolism and
Yes.
the crab, without its shell, and the crab needing to find a bigger shell, and just all of that. It's so beautiful. And it's sort of this like kind of prickly animal, but under the surface in water a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love yeah, we'll dive into that.
Yes.
So I don't remember how we got there last week, but you said the most beautiful thing, and it was right at the front. It was the introduction, and
Yeah.
you brought us through the three signs we've been through already. We went through Aries and Taurus and Gemini, and then we got to Cancer. So can you talk to me about that evolution?
Yeah, absolutely. And if for people who've been paying attention to the whole series, they know that is absolutely one of my favorite things about astrology is the evolution
Yeah.
of the signs and the growth of the signs. So, Cancer is a cardinal water sign. We've been introduced to cardinal before. Aries was also a cardinal sign, and anytime we're dealing with a cardinal sign, what that means is that they're good initiators. They start things, and both Aries and Cancer are the beginning signs to a season. Aries opens up the
Mm.
season of spring, and Cancer opens up the season of summer. Okay, now it's also
The
a water
beach.
sign. What now?
I was like, oh, the beach. Crabs are at the
The
beach.
beach. There we
Summer.
go
Yeah.
too.
Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so we're talking about a water sign, and this is our first introduction into water. And water
Yeah.
represents emotion. And so what I love about this evolution is that when we had Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. Aries teaches us that we're like really like alive. Like let's just go, let's just gusto. There's no fear. We're just running. We don't even think about things. We're just moving because we're alive, and that's all we know is that we're alive. It's just
Yeah.
pure raw fire energy, right? And then we come into Taurus, you know, and Taurus, all of a sudden Taurus gets kind of scared. They're like, oh, I got hurt when I was an Aries. I better slow
Mm.
down. I'm gonna calm down here a bit. And all of a sudden Taurus realizes that they have a body and they have senses.
Oh,
They can feel, they can see, they can hear all of these things, and they're like very into that. They just want to like not move. They just want to feel
yes.
beautiful things and see beautiful things and smell and taste, and they just want to like immerse themselves in all the lovely that exists out there. So they're just
Yes.
really realizing they have a body. We come into Gemini being an air sign. Gemini realizes that they have a mind and a voice. Now we can receive information, we can talk about it, we can, be the great storytellers and all of those kinds of things. And if you think about it, those three things, that's your basic human, right? Okay, we're alive, we've got a body, we've got a mind. That's our basic human, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the season of spring. Spring is what births, everything. It
Yeah.
births the new beginnings. Personally, I feel like, our new year it should line up with the zodiac season.
Sure.
Spring should be when the new year is, really.
Right.
And so it births everything. And spring just teaches us that whole lesson of, okay, here we are. Okay, but what's next? Now here we are. What's next? All of a sudden we realize that, oh, we have emotions. We
Mm.
have emotions. And so it's absolutely fascinating because, okay, yes, we can say that the first three signs represented, the most basic human, but really you are not human unless you have emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as we all try to deny that,
I mean,
it's just
I just think you're right about the evolution. It's so beautiful because it's from like the soul perspective. Yes, we're light, we're a spark of light, we're passion. Oh, and we're in this body now. Look at that. And like that's interesting. And look how interesting my thoughts are and I can learn. And that emotion piece seems to be the hardest piece for most of us humans. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable in the body and that's all fair and valid, but like a lot of the reasons they're not comfortable in the body is the emotion anyway. It's like this cycle. So,
absolutely. And Taurus and Cancer have such a beautiful relationship together. There's definitely
yeah.
some similarities there between the two signs. They both really crave safety. They're both more gentle, calm signs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this introduction into this whole other level of being human. And so, we had talked before about, oh, you've got the first three modes, being cardinal, mutable, or I'm sorry, cardinal, fixed, and mutable.
Yeah.
Okay, and that kind of is one cycle. But then you've also got the first four elements,
Yeah.
which is fire, earth, air, and water. And so then that completes a whole nother thing. And so now I feel like, okay, now we've really got a human. Now we've got
Yeah.
emotion, and we're going to move into Leo next. And that's a whole different kind of thing that we're going to move into. So I love that. And I love that. I really feel like if you really pay attention to the zodiac, it matches the seasons so well. And for Cancer, what it really is, if you think about summertime, you know, I mean, is there anything that feels as good as that summer sun when it's just new and it hits
Mm,
your skin and it feels like absolute heaven, and you're out there enjoying summer. It's so beautiful and you just feel absolutely amazing, right? Summer has some of the highest highs for us humans. But guess what? It also has some of the lowest lows because dang, it can get hot. It can get
yeah.
hot and that's miserable. And that's when we all just want to go inside. We want to turn on the AC, same as the crab would do. They go in their shell and they're like, no, 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 hide me away. This is too much. And so and also the longest day of the year, our opening to Cancer season, the summer solstice, is the
Yeah.
longest day of the year. We have the
Mm,
longest day of the year, the shortest night of the year. We're talking extremes,
yeah.
and I think emotion lines up so well with that because okay, now we're starting to understand these extremes. Spring was so gentle. Now we're starting to understand extremes, and that's why we kind of need emotion to get through those extremes.
Oh, you absolutely do. And I love that alliteration, the imagery of like the sun on your skin. And I was thinking about how I was imagining that moment for myself. And I was thinking it's I have the physical experience, the vitamin D and the warmth and whatever. But then beneath the physical experience, I have the emotional experience, which for me would often be like I feel connected to spirit or I'm just feeling grateful, but there's that positive emotion. And so it really is like the apex of all the other things, you know?
Yes.
And for me in that moment, it's for me personally, maybe not for everybody, it's also typically a quieting of my mind. Like Gemini shuts up for just a little bit so I can just enjoy.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So I think that was such a beautiful, beautiful imagery, friend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just continues. It never ceases to amaze me as you go through the zodiac. The imagery that is there, that is just natural to it is truly why I fell in love with astrology. I feel like I've said that on this podcast before, but I will say it. I think until the day I die.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the other thing that you said that it just, when you were talking about summer and how it's extreme, and I'm like, yeah, that's our relationship with emotions is extreme.
Yes.
Like, how much will I drink or binge, or like, how much will I do in order to not have to feel whatever's, you know, even
Yeah.
even my projection of what I think I would feel. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and do something else. Um,
Yeah.
or how much we'll do to chase a feeling. Like, oh,
Yeah.
if I have X, then everything's going to be fine,
Oh, that's so true.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just loved that. I don't know, it just hit me differently today, the extremes of Cancer
Mm.
season and how that is
Hmm.
such an emotional thing for us.
It
So
is.
I love it. A cute little prickly crab
Yeah.
scuttling along.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, so what do we love most and appreciate most about our Cancer crab?
Oh, so many things, so many things. I mean, we've already said a few of them, but introduction into summer, introduction to feelings. I mean, we love those things. We love those things. Um, you know, Nothing feels so good and also hurts so much, as those emotions. And as it's like, okay, pain is awful, but it helps us to grow and it helps us to heal. And that's exactly what Cancer is. You cannot heal if you do not move through these emotions,
Yeah.
and so those extremes help us really to grow. I mean, we talked a lot about the movement from Cancer to Leo last time, and I hope we're going to again today
Mm,
because it's my favorite connection. But that is one of the things. Leo wants us to shine. Well, we got to heal first if we're going to shine. We've
yeah.
really got to, get down in those roots and do a lot of digging, and now we can go be the big Leo. um So yeah, see, the sign completes the true human. I kind of already said some of this, but
Yeah.
I love so much about Cancer. That yeah,
Yeah.
it's feelings. I mean, gosh, who would we be if we didn't have feelings?
I mean, it's shocking that I don't have more Cancer in my chart.
Yeah, but you're a Cancer midheaven. We have
Yes.
to remember that.
And my
So you
moon's in the
are,
fourth house, but
yes,
still. Yeah.
yes, you are to be remembered as a Cancer.
Yeah. Well, and I love the idea that so Cancer is the fourth. It's kind of the final of the self. We've brought in the emotions.
Yes.
And personally, this is just me. I'm not saying this is astrology. I just love the idea that you can't really know yourself until you allow yourself to have your emotion experiences.
Mm, mm, yeah.
And so we can't get to the next season. Like we can't skip seasons anyway, but it's like you can't be complete without that. It just sort of it's so funny because in general I have such empathy and sadness for people that have, I'll call it, a strained relationship with their emotions. But then
Hmm.
putting it in the astrological lens for whatever reason makes it that much more profound. I'm like, oh my gosh, they haven't
Yeah.
learned how to be a crab yet.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So we love the healer mother archetype. Can you talk like earlier we went kind of we referenced the metaphor of the crab and the shell, um, and the emotions. I don't know. I guess I don't know my question. I was just thinking about, since I'm in the woo world, healing has a certain connotation. It
Sure.
usually is like, I'm a light worker or something like that. And so I'm curious if when we talk about healing in regards to Cancer, is that a pretty broad blanket statement or is that specific to emotion? Kind of what's your.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. It doesn't represent physical healing. I think it's really more emotional healing.
Okay.
I think we've got to wait until till Virgo really to do some of the more
Oh,
physical healing and health and injury and things
yeah.
like that. um yeah, I think it's really more emotional. It's the stuff that's deeply rooted within us is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
No wonder we're scared to come out.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Come out of the shell. I don't think so, sir. I
Yeah,
don't think I
yeah,
will. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Um, the thing that's interesting to me too about the crab metaphor with, because when I think about Cancer, I think about the sweet, crying mother, healing, let me nurture you archetype. But
Yes.
it's also just, it's the beginning of the emotion. So it's like, we're just learning how to do this.
Yes. Absolutely. That is very, very true. Any sign in the zodiac, people tend to think that, oh, if you have a lot of a certain sign, if your sun sign is that, or you've got some strong energy of that sign, oh, you came into search, you're naturally good at this. And I don't have that belief. There are
Mm.
other astrologers who will tell you that is true. I am not of that belief. I am of the belief that you are not naturally good at those things. You have a strong propensity to be good at them. You have a strong desire to be good at them. You are here on this earth actually to learn how to do those things. And so for a lot of people with real strong Cancer energy, they want to do the hiding, instead of feeling the emotions because
Uh-huh.
they're actually here to learn to do the emotions, you know?
Oh,
Yeah, and so
that's
it's
beautiful.
yeah, so it's actually, yeah, you can kind of think of the Cancers as, yeah, being naturally so emotional, but it's not necessarily true. We don't they can come into this life with who knows what their karmic story is and what they're bringing in, but they're whatever their karmic story is, if they've got a lot of Cancer energy, they are here to learn to get better at their emotions.
All right then. Like I'm like, we're gonna on the transcript, we're gonna bold that one. Hello,
Yes,
Cancers. I
yes.
just think that's so, I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah.
And I'm even and so now I'm going back to um, the Aries and the Taurus and the Gemini, and going, oh, they're the first of those elements. So we're very much in the learning how to do it. We're not
Yes.
in the depth or the transcendence of it. We're in the pure spark of fire and the pure of earth,
Exactly. And the thing is like, again about that bridge from Cancer to Leo, we can't be a Leo until we've done our Cancer. We'll
Yeah.
get more into Leo, of course, next time. But the thing about Leo that's very misunderstood that I just want to say a little bit about is that Leo is actually a very vulnerable sign. People think
Mm.
they're showy, they're the actor, they're the, one who's going to take the mic and just go crazy, and that can be true. But, have you ever noticed that the actor that is vulnerable in their acting is the best actor? You
Mm.
know? And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it is. If your showiness is just showiness just for showiness, that's actually low road Leo, you know
Yeah.
and it's you've got to have that vulnerability, and in order to have that vulnerability, you need that safety that Cancer provides for you,
Mm.
and so Cancer is really just working on building us to be safe enough to feel those emotions so that we can actually be the really Leo is a very emotional sign. Actually, they're emotional in a more fiery, showy kind of way, but they're a
Yeah.
very emotional sign, at least if they're high road Leo. So yeah, let's get that safety, let's build that safety up, let's build that vulnerability up. Cancers, poor little Cancers come into this world so like just scared almost.
Oh.
With Gemini they learned everything, they learned so much, right?
Right.
And it was also exciting, and then it became information overload, and they became scared, and that's where the feelings come in. Yeah.
Yeah. Their brain finally got full, and so they had to feel something.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, exactly.
shucks. Okay, so I have a question, but I'm not going to ask it because it's out of order.
All right.
It'll take us on a whole tangent. So, what does Cancer need or long for?
What does Cancer need or long for?
I mean, we've just
Safety.
been talking about safety.
Yeah, some of this we've
Um,
already said, but safety is huge. Yeah. They need to have tears,
so
you
it's,
know?
I was going to say, it seems like because there's emotional sign, we're primarily talking about emotional safety, I would
Yeah.
assume. Okay, it just,
Physical safety too. I would
yeah.
definitely say physical safety. They don't, yeah, they need to feel safe in their body. And so
Yeah.
that can mean both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the hermit aspect is, well, I guess it's both. I was going to say it's like self-protection in a safety way, but that could easily be a shadow thing too. That's one of those things where it's a propensity, it's not necessarily a strength. Huh.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the hermit thing really, I do see it as it can be low road or high road, just like
Yeah.
how if somebody's introverted, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong at all with that person. They really like being by themselves. Being lonely, that's different, right?
Hmm.
And the two things can very much intersect, but they don't have to, And so, yeah, Cancer definitely needs time to themselves.
Okay.
But they're humans, they need other people. We all need other people, and so yeah, yeah. So yeah, they need that safety. They need comfort, similar to Taurus. They want to be comfortable. They love their home. They need their home.
Oh,
You
that makes
know, they're
sense.
they're big on their home and their family. They just love all that stuff. They love love. They just love being empathetic, and they love receiving empathy. Just love everything about it. They love to help others heal. They're nostalgic. Such a nostalgic sign.
Oh.
Um, Sentimentality, patriotism. I mean, like, yeah, you
Now,
go into a
now
yeah, go on.
talk to me about patriotism because I was thinking like Aries is a warrior soldier. So
Yes,
I, I didn't expect you to say patriotism with Cancer. So talk to me about that.
absolutely. Yeah, the reason why is because home. You love your
Mm.
home. Like you love. I think Cancers love their home. Like they feel it in their heart. Everybody, hope not everybody. Hopefully, most people love their home. Okay, that's a normal thing for a human being to love their home. But
Hmm.
Cancers feel it in such more an intense way because it's their way that they can kind of retreat. They can go back into their little shell and they feel that safety when they're like in their home. It's like exhale, right? And
Mm.
so when you talk about that in regards to a home, like someone's actual house, it extends out though, to everything about that person's home. A person's home is in a certain city and in a certain state and in a certain country. And so that's where it really leads to patriotism. They just have a deep emotional connection to all of those things. And they love history, is the thing, because Cancer is the connection to all of human history's past. And so that, that, we're in the US, so US history, a Cancer is going to be really likely to really love US history because they
Mm.
feel it in their soul. They, somewhere inside of a Cancer, they know the entire history of the world, of all of human history. So they feel it really, really deeply, especially I think when it has to do with their own ancestors, their own connection to an earth, to land. It's a spiritual thing for them, I think.
Wow. Okay, so if anybody is a Cancer and is listening or watching, I would love to know about your relationship to patriotism and or the love of history. It it, it does make sense to me, but I would just be so curious to have a larger survey about that.
Oh, same. Yeah, that's a great question.
And I'm one thing that I'm struggling with Cancer is so they're this deeply emotional being
Yes.
and they're also kind of a scaredy cat.
Yes.
So are they scared of emotion or what are they scared of?
Oh, being exposed.
Oh, the vulnerability thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's so much. They're the first sign to even realize they have emotion.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets it up
No,
until
those
then.
first three signs have no clue.
Yeah, yeah. And so
No.
so they're like it's kind of like with Gemini where we said it's information overload. Well, now
Yeah.
we've got emotional overload. We all have all these feelings.
Oh,
Feelings are scary.
overload.
Yeah,
That's a good word.
it's so much. It's just a lot to all, like, what is this? Why am I tingling? Why does my stomach feel nervous? It's a lot. They don't like it. So it's very much okay, that's uncomfortable. Let me retreat. And that's
Yeah.
kind of their answer to everything. That's uncomfortable. Let me retreat.
I would like to what's the like I would like to free or liberate the Cancer zodiac
Yeah.
from a like from my own collective consciousness point of view. I want to get to where emotions are so appreciated and respected that like
Well,
we don't need that we will always need a shell. Always. There's
yes.
That's valid. But
Yes.
I just love the idea of like society actually going, "Oh, you have emotions. Cool."
Right. Right. Well, and that is the whole archetype of your business
Yeah.
really is that, which again explains your Cancer midheaven, I think, so beautifully. But that's what you are here to heal and to help people see that they have emotions. And, that's what you are naturally so, so good at that,
Oh, thank you.
and you've built a business on that. And so, yeah, you are here to do that. Absolutely.
So, once again, I'm going to take us off topic a little bit. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of Capricorn energy, which is Cancer's opposite. And
Yes,
isn't Cap also known as a hermit?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fascinating that they're opposites, but they both have that.
Well, anytime you've got opposites, you
Mhm.
have opposites. They do meet in the middle. There are things where they just do not see eye to eye, and there are other
Okay.
things that just really draw them together and make them one. And the high road sign, the high road version of one always goes towards the other. For instance,
Mm.
Capricorn. Capricorn is like stoic and just emotionless, but a Capricorn would do well to lean into Cancer and you
Yeah.
know and
Yeah.
and learn some emotion. I mean, they're here to be a Capricorn, but let's have some emotion also.
Yeah. And I guess with the Cancer, it's like you don't have to emote to the point that you can't get anything done.
Exactly,
Okay.
because that can happen with the Cancer. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Capricorn's like, quit whining. Let's come on, just put your head down and just do the work.
I need to look at one of my kiddos' charts, but that's a conversation for later. What's happening with all this emotion?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so that was what does Cancer need or long for? And we were talking about safety.
Yes.
And then I asked you about what are they scared of? And it was the intensity of the emotions and being
Yes.
vulnerable.
Yes.
So we put typically I would ask you what does Cancer hate or avoid? And so that's the same question really
We
as the one
basically covered
before.
that one. Yeah.
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 But I just want to add to it from my social emotional perspective
Sure.
and say, let's tread lightly with Cancer folks. Like really respecting sensitivity as a real thing and that it's here to teach us. And just because we might not have that sensitivity doesn't mean we can't practice mindfulness in the way that we treat other people. Because I think the Cancers in my life, you included, in some ways, even though none of the Cancers in my life identify as psychic, you all know things about people. Like you'll be in a room and you'll be like, well, that person, like they've really got something going on. I was like, what do you mean I did? And they'll think about it, I'll be like, oh yeah, they were upset about something, weren't they? Like you feel things so that to me are subtle. And like in a Gemini way, I can feel subtle energy, but I don't feel subtle energy in the water emotional way, ironically enough. Um, and so I don't remember where I was going with this, but just recognizing that you could be a bull in a china shop. You know what I mean? Like if I really as a Taurus was to be the bull or the Capricorn and be like, screw all you guys, I'm going to do this by myself, or it's my way or the highway because I'm stubborn, like that's just going to crush a crab.
It will.
Where some other Leo, okay, whatever, I'm going to go do my. But I think understanding your audience is just it's important with every sign, but I think with Cancer, I just want to advocate for them because it's the emotional stuff. Like I'm like, everybody be kind to the Cancer babies.
Thank you so much for that. No, I really do appreciate it. And you're right. I have a lot of Cancer. My Jupiter's in Cancer, my Mercury's in Cancer, and I'm a Cancer rising. And it it can people don't always respect the sensitivities.
Yeah.
They think that you're weak, or that it's um yeah, people just don't understand is really what it comes down to. Like, well, why do you care if you're exposed in this way? And
Yeah.
there's no way to really put into words you know how that feels.
Yeah.
I think to a Cancer, it's just we can't. It's too much for us. We just really really can't handle it. And so I do appreciate that sentiment so much because it absolutely can be very overwhelming for us when we feel so exposed. And like to your point about, yeah, sometimes like I will just look at people and I just know things, and I not like specific things.
Oh
I know
yeah, no.
feelings.
Yeah.
I know feelings. I can tell there's something going on with that person, and I'll ask other people, and other people don't know. And I think for a lot of years I've just assumed everybody knew that stuff. I
Right.
didn't think, and I being a lot of that Cancer energy, I wanted to shut it down, and I didn't. It was in fact too much for me,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did shut a lot of it down, and trying to open myself up to feelings and learning those things, and tapping in and realizing, oh no, not everybody looks at people and understands those things just intuitively. There are sometimes I see people, I don't just walk up to strangers to give them a hug, but I just want to, like I just know there's, and it can be hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'll say personally, one of the gifts that I get to have because I'm a medium is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when spirits kind of give me their feelings, I get to feel what it would be like to be different than the way that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I genuinely didn't understand that some people don't feel emotion as intensely as I do. So I'm not as emotionally sensitive as some other people, but when I feel things, I feel them very intensely.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I feel my emotions intensely. I don't feel other people's stuff the way perhaps cancers do.
Yeah.
So, but with mediumship over time, I've had enough experiences of different archetypes that I'm like, oh wow, other people genuinely don't feel this way. Like they genuinely think differently than me, or they like it is. I think it's really almost impossible for our brains to understand how differently we can function as human beings.
Totally. And this is another reason why I fell in love with astrology, because it
Yeah.
teaches you that exact lesson. It's so hard to look at another person who's just made a choice that you just really can't fathom, and you want to, call them out on it. You want to, think that they're horrible human beings. You want to think all of these things, and you just don't get it no matter how hard you try. Well, guess what? You weren't meant to. They are in a different body, they have a different soul, they have a different chart, and they have a different curriculum than you, and you're not meant to understand those things that they're
Yeah.
understanding in that moment. And it's so hard for humans, for every human. I think
Yeah.
everybody can relate to that. It's just, and astrology really teaches you to have empathy for other people and understand, no, 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 we are actually all very different.
And I have another point of advocacy for the cancers.
Yes, I love it.
Because it's a cardinal sign, I think we have to acknowledge that cancers are brave.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't understand the cardinal sign. Because you don't think about a cancer as brave. A
Mhm.
ram, sure. But a little crab?
Yeah, yeah, and I think I have a couple points to add to that.
Please
You know,
do.
it's like, again, we've talked about the overload of emotions. It's hard to move through that. That
Yeah.
takes bravery, that takes courage. But the other thing is, remember that they're the mother. Now,
Mm,
the mama bear. Like, there is no greater, like, fierceness than what is going to come from a mama bear protecting her cubs. She will
mm.
do anything to protect her children, anything, and that takes serious bravery, and it takes, just some chutzpah, and really, and so cancer's got it in them for sure. Cancer, we keep talking about the shell, but they've also got the little, their little claws that
They'll
are going
come
to come
at you.
after you and go crazy at you. I wouldn't want to be attacked by a cancer, a crab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got it. They are defensive. They are very defensive. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a shadow for cancer?
Well, I would say that's the shadow. I guess I just phrased it more like the shadow side.
Yeah.
Courage would be so yeah, defending
Okay.
ourselves, defending our home, defending our children, defending our,
Gotcha.
they can put it up for sure, and they can also be defensive in the shadowy way as well. They can do both, absolutely.
Yeah. Just like emotions are unseen, I think historically, culturally, nobody come at me for this. I think a lot of what mothers do has been unseen. And so I don't think we collectively, as a global society, understand what bravery looks like
Mm.
in the feminine, emotional, energetic kind of sense of the word.
I think you're totally right. I think it's just completely undervalued in our society. I
Yeah.
mean, mothers, teachers, all of those kinds of things. Um, Completely just an undervalued energy of
Yeah.
the people out there that are healing the world, whether it be, you know, emotionally or otherwise, anything like that takes bravery.
Yeah.
It just does. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So riddle me this.
Yes.
Who do you think cries more, you or me?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so my difficulty with okay, I will cry at the drop of a hat,
Okay.
like at a Kleenex commercial. Somebody
Okay.
else is getting married, someone else having a baby, graduating. Like, it is insane how easily I will cry for other people. When it comes to me, that is some hard business. That is some hard business. I
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, because then the little walls come up and. Mhm.
If you had to guess, or if you know the answer, what do you think is the Cancerian relationship to crying? Like, is
I
do you think it's always everybody else's stuff, the Kleenex commercial, or
I genuinely, I think that that depends on how well you've figured out cancer. I think there's plenty of
okay.
cancers who've figured it out better than me, and can get to their own emotions about personal things much easier. I just
Okay.
think that it, and maybe you can, we're just theorizing here. Who
Yeah, yeah.
knows what the actual answer is? But for me, especially, Jupiter represents, expansion, and just whatever the energy is, Jupiter makes it bigger. And my Cancer specifically sits in the 12th house, which is
Oh my
very
gosh. Yes.
just, internal and all of these kinds of things. And so it's like, for me, it's huge. So for me,
Yeah.
it might just be so overwhelming that I can't handle it for myself. I just can't. But for other people, I'm happy to cry for other people, very, very easily. And I've gotten better about crying about things for myself. I
Oh,
really have.
that's good.
And when I'm exposed, when somebody else sees me do it, and this might be a little bit of the Aries in me too,
Okay.
because I'm an Aries midheaven and an Aries south node. Um, some of that, warrior might come through a little bit. Like, no, you don't see me cry. So it could be a combination of that. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if this is such a hypothetical question, but I wonder for Cancer, because they tend to want to go in the shell, if crying needs to be a thing that happens in the home in a safe place versus out in public.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like I only cry in public. It's just not true at all. I do cry at home in the shower and in the car,
Uh huh.
probably with
Uh
some
huh.
frequency. But I do cry a fair amount in public. If
Yeah.
the podcast equals public, and if I don't know, I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. That would be another one to pull people on.
Yes, another survey question. Cancers,
Y-
let us know about your crying habits, please.
Yes.
Public, not public, your life, Kleenex commercials.
But it's so good for a Cancer to cry, because crying, I mean, scientifically,
It's
it is
healing.
actually, it's like, yes, it's healing. They've proven that. And so it is excellent for a Cancer to cry. They do need that. They do actually love it. It just sometimes
I
can be hard.
love it. I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, oh, they do. Oh gosh, my favorite movies are all just total sob story. I don't even care about watching. My husband loves comedies and things like that, and I'm like, I'll watch a comedy, I'll laugh, I'll
Yeah.
enjoy it, but that I won't turn on one on myself unless it's
Good.
very specific shows that I've loved for years. Show me like some emotional period piece. I love the period pieces,
Okay.
because again, history. I want to go back in time.
Oh,
I want to see the
okay.
things. I want to feel all the emotions. I just want to cry my little eyeballs out at TV shows and songs too. Just show me
Oh gosh.
all the
Yeah.
depressing songs. I want to listen to every depressing song
Yeah.
so I can feel. So I can feel. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
But that's not. It's not personal. It's not for me. So it's easier. That's the way that I
Yeah.
can get it out there.
I every single time me and the kids are in the car and we listen to Encanto, and
Uh
it's
huh.
the song at the end where they're giving Mirabelle the door handle, and they're like, "We
Yeah.
see who you are. We see how bright you burn." Every time I cry.
I
Like
love it. I
the
love
idea
it.
of being seen like so completely and being appreciated and for this being that hadn't been like I it just
Yeah.
every single time.
Do you want to know my story about what
Yeah.
I cry at every single time?
Yeah, yeah.
Christmas season, when I read the kids the Polar Express, on the last page, when I don't even know if I can say this without crying. I'm gonna
Okay.
try. I'm gonna really try here. The last page of the book, it says something like, "And so the bell still rings for all that truly believe." Like, I literally want to cry. I can feel the emotions
Oh.
coming up. It's only like two sentences on that last page. It's
Yeah.
very short. I can't. After about 5 times of reading that book to my kids, I can get through it without crying. But the first times, I'm like, and the bell. And the kids are looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" But again, it's because it's that mother thing. It's
Yeah.
that, they're growing up, and it's this, I don't even. It's just, it's so Cancerian. It just is. I don't know.
So I hate to say this, but I have not read The Polar Express and I have not seen the
Oh,
movie. So
oh,
when
it's
you
so good.
said, and the bell still rings for those that truly believe, I got taken to the 12th house and I was like, well, is that faith? Is
Yeah.
because you have Jupiter and Cancer in the 12th. And I was like, so
Hmm.
that is also like,
Oh, yeah, ninth
could it?
house.
A
Yeah,
ninth house. Oh, gotcha. Yes,
yeah,
that makes more
yeah.
sense. Okay. Um, I think we answered this. What shadows does Cancer need to navigate? Did we answer that?
I think we kind of
A
did, but
little
let's see
bit.
here.
We talked
Yeah,
about, I guess,
oh no, but
defensiveness.
there's definitely some things in here. Yeah,
Okay.
no, allowing other people's emotions to rule them. Because again,
Oh.
when you're feeling all of those things, you don't even know where the line between another person is and where your own cancers are very unaware of that kind of stuff, so they'll just allow other people to kind of take over. Um, so taking care of others more than they take care of themselves.
Mm.
Hiding from the world, never risking anything,
Oh.
hoarding, because cancers are
Ooh.
so sentimental. Oh, they're bad hoarders, bad hoarders. Um, Hiding their true feelings behind their mothering habits. So it's easier when a conflict arises, they can kind of sweep their own feelings under the rug. If they were hurt by something, they can just sweep that under and say, I understand, I get it, Johnny. You had a bad childhood and you had a rough day, and that's okay, sweetie. That's okay that you said something so awful to me and my feelings are so hurt now, but that's fine. I'll just shove that down in because you're a beautiful person and I just love you and it's fine. Don't worry about me.
I feel
Cancers.
like I'm going to out us to my podcast audience and we'll just have to cut this if it's too much. But I feel like since you and I have known each other, you've grown so much in that area.
Oh yeah.
Like when we first met, you were very much in the it's fine that you did that thing that was offensive and that you didn't respond to this thing that was really important to me. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And and
Absolutely.
and now you'll be like, okay, so that upset me. Like,
Yes. Yes.
you know, so kudos, you're doing your cancer work.
Ah, thanks. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah.
You have to have people in your life who show you that it's actually okay to say those things and
Yeah.
that they're going to accept them, you know. So, yeah. So you've been a big part of that, of showing me it's okay. It's
With
okay.
some people, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
So,
people.
yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of those are mostly their shadows.
So I want to ask this next kind of two questions. I have two questions and I want to ask them for cancer itself and for the element of water.
Hmm.
And then if the element of water is too broad, just let me know. But I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to ask, so what happens when we don't have enough cancer and what happens when we have too much cancer?
Yeah,
But because
yeah.
cancer's the first water sign, I feel like I'm in my own mind, I'm making that water specifically. Or
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're right because if you move through the three water signs, which are we move from Cancer and then eventually we get to Scorpio and then eventually we get to Pisces, they each kind of learn to handle emotions a little bit better, as we go along and to be able to work with emotions on a more mature level. And so they all do that work,
Yeah.
um, just in kind of different ways. So when we don't have enough Cancer, we really become hardened. We talked about
Ooh.
Capricorn being that stoic, unemotional sign. We
Uh-huh.
we can we can be stoic and yeah, just we don't allow ourselves to feel or cry. We just don't even get that that's a thing. It's just, and it's just every human needs to do those things. Here's the thing, even if you have zero Cancer in your chart, you still have Cancer in your chart. Everybody has it there. It's just a maybe you don't have planets there, maybe you don't have a strong fourth house presence, maybe this, maybe that, but you're still going to have planets moving through there in your lifetime. You've still got house rulership there. Talk to an astrologer, if you want to understand how that works for you. But every human being has Cancer. It just means if you don't have a lot of that, you're not here to learn those lessons. That's all it means.
Okay.
But you still have it. It is still there for you. But sometimes if we don't have it, we can be unemotional. And when we have too much, I mean, just tears all of the time,
Mm.
and overly emotional, potential for extreme shyness, And
Oh.
it's funny because in a way those things flip-flop a little bit. If you have too much versus not enough, you can almost swap those things into each question, if that makes sense, because I think because it's so complex, like we said, cancer is the first sign that begins to be complex, and
Mm.
the shadowy things are also sometimes the things, if we have too much, they're emotions. You can't explain emotions. They're complex, and they're
Oh yeah.
so
But we could try.
we can try. Yeah, yeah.
So, what's the problem with being hardened? Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, well, I think because you won't have empathy for other people. You won't um feel your feelings. You won't grow. We talked about Cancer being the
Mm.
healer and needing to heal. We need to get to Leo. I just think if you're hardened, you're not even it's like, you know, the person who needs therapy so bad but refuses to go.
Mm.
They're not going to grow.
Gotcha.
They're
And the
not going to grow.
relationships
They've got to
often.
take Yeah, they've got to take some sort of action. Doesn't necessarily have to be therapy, but it needs to be something,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay,
So
that's
yeah,
really
it's
helpful.
yeah.
Not enough cancer, hardening. Too much cancer, flooding.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to get stuff done when your house is flooded. I will tell you that much.
Yes.
Um, so this is like the fifth way of asking the same question, but what does cancer need from us? We know that they're sensitive, and so I've already
Yes.
advocated that we be mindful. Um, but what else might that look like?
Yeah, and I do think we did already kind of talk about some of this. You're right, but absolutely. I mean, respect for their sensitivity and for
Mm,
their need to shelter. When they say, "I'm gonna go hide. I need this time for myself," like they mean it. They've got, if they're feeling overexposed or just a flood of too many emotions, or this sensitivity is just coming in at them, they've got to recess. They've got to do the introvert thing and like, "Ooh, I need to be by myself. I need to watch a good movie and cry,"
yeah,
like
do
that kind of
not
a
chase
thing.
down the cancer.
No, yeah, give them some time. They're so misunderstood, and people, I mean, again, we kind of already said so much of this. People think that sensitivity and that empathy is a weakness, and so we need society to catch up to the fact that that is not a weakness at all. This is a really, really strong sign. They have so much coming at them that other people just don't necessarily understand. And I just think that, yeah, it can be so hard. So we've got to allow them to be who they truly are, and who they truly are emotional, beautiful beings who we absolutely need on this planet if we're going to heal. Which, gosh, we need some healing right now for humanity.
I think I feel so lucky that I have so much earth in my chart
Hmm.
because I I can be kind of lazy and kind of stubborn and just kind of sit still. So if somebody needs that time, or if I have to be patient, I'm capable of it. Now, whether or
Hmm.
not I choose to. Well, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, if you're a fire sign or an air sign, patience might be harder for you, and that might be what you have to practice
yeah,
to be with cancer.
absolutely. That's very, very true. Yeah, they do need somebody who, it's kind of like, well, there we've got the mother, and the mother can sometimes be overly emotional and all these kinds of things. I shouldn't say overly emotional. I should just say emotional. I'm sorry about that. So the mother can be emotional, but she needs, that the masculine figure along with her, that Capricorn, if you will, to be that grounding energy. I mean, that's why Capricorn and Cancer go together, because Cancer needs that grounding.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's having, I mean, your placement of, your Capricorn moon in the fourth house, I think speaks to that. So, well, Cancer and the moon rule the fourth house, in case you're, wondering
Right.
why we're
Yeah.
talking about the fourth house here.
Yeah. That's interesting. The idea of grounding.
Yeah. Yeah, they need that.
I don't have a question about it, but I feel like the energy of question is in my body. I'm like, oh, like
Yeah,
I'll come back to
it'll
that.
come later.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. Um, what is what's the spiritual truth that either
Yeah.
Cancer's here? I mean, we've talked about what they're here to learn,
Hmm.
but what are they maybe here to teach us or to live by example for us?
That it's safe to open our heart is really what it is. You know, we can open our heart. It is safe. You know, we can. It's safe to feel. It's safe to do all of those things. You know, cancer is so much about safety and it's so much about
Mm,
emotions. So let's find the safety. It's safe, and
yeah.
then we can really open our heart and do some healing.
How beautiful is that? I'm thinking Aries was that spark, that initial light energy. Then we got into our body, then we got into our mind, and now we're in the heart. I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel
Mhm.
like there's grounding in two senses of the word, like grounding into the earth and into nature and into the physical experience.
Yeah.
That's sure Taurus second house or whatever. But then there's grounding into who you are,
Yes.
and that's the heart.
Yes.
Like we so identify with our thoughts and what we've learned and how we communicate, but that's not actually who we are. We can observe
No,
our
it's
thoughts.
true.
You can't,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't want to say that there's not ways to con- predict or control emotion, because there absolutely are in long term things. Like I can do
Yeah.
my affirmations and slowly rewire my brain, and then like I'm going to be more likely to experience shame instead of anger or guilt instead of anger. Like you can adjust those patterns.
Hmm.
And emotions are still something that seemingly happen to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there
Yes.
are times, like for example in my line of work, people die, turns out, and then my clients might have shame at the fact that they're mad that that person died. Like they're like, how can I be mad at them? And I'm like, because you're a human.
Yeah.
Of course you're pissed they left. You know, and so it's like we judge our emotions, but like we cannot control the way we feel.
No.
We can process it if we're brave enough,
Hmm.
and we can decide what we want to hold on to and what we don't. Like there are some feelings that even if they're uncomfortable and negative, I will hang on to for whatever, if it's grief, if it's anger. Um, sometimes it takes me longer to let go of hatred than I would like to admit, you know, because it feels self-protective. Um, so I don't know. I just love that idea of they're here to show us that it's safe to open our hearts, because it's that for me, I'm like, until you do that, you haven't gotten to the core of who you are. You haven't gotten grounded in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly why it brings us to Leo, because Leo's all about showing who the human
Oh,
being actually is. Leo's ruled by the sun. Everything revolves around the sun. Now we can actually just go out there and just have fun and be a Leo. And
got it.
yeah,
Lighten up.
yeah. And that's our first time we just get to go out there with just in our glory, in our glory. But we've got to do the cancer work first.
Okay. So the cancer, like knowing thyself or perhaps healing thyself. Is cancer
Yeah,
about healing self or healing others or both?
both,
Okay.
both. I think that it, yeah, just both.
Okay. Healing
Yeah.
at large. Got it. Um, what would bring cancer a deeper connection to divine source energy?
Oh gosh, it's so simple for cancer. I
Okay.
like when we asked this question for Gemini. I mean, gosh, I really had to think about it because Gemini is just so detached,
Yeah.
you know. But for cancer, it's so simple. They're a naturally intuitive sign. They're naturally connected, and that connection. We kind of already said this, but it's to all of human history.
Mm,
So and to the ancestors. I think that when they feel connected to our lineage, it's just as spiritual as it gets for them. They're just,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. I just think they feel all of that so deeply and then otherworldly. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
that I hadn't thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense that spirituality could, because I'm not Cancer, so I don't experience it this way. So I hadn't thought of it because that's what we
yeah,
do. Um, that spirituality could somehow be related to, I know this sounds so stupid, but that it could be ancestral. The reason why it sounds so stupid is because there's so many healers out there that what they do is they work ancestor magic,
yeah.
ancestral healing. Like, so I
Hmm.
know that that's a thing, but that's not how I experience spirituality.
Right.
So like, it, it's a bigger leap for my brain to get there, that
Right.
would actually be a source of spiritual connection. Because to me, the ancestral work is just like, um, it's a source of belief work.
Yeah.
Like I value it, but I value it for the psychological aspect of it.
Right.
I hadn't
Yes.
I haven't used it as a spiritual tool.
Yeah. But with Cancer,
Yeah.
everything for them is like going down. It's the root system. So
Okay.
that's really where it's the history, the roots, the ancestors, the under the surface stuff, the inner world, everything is roots for them.
That's beautiful. Good for
Yeah.
them. Good for you guys, whoever's out there.
And I have loved genealogy since I was a teenager. I mean, like, how many teenagers are out there, looking at their family history? Like, I've just always been obsessed with it. So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Not me, I'll say that. I was not one of those teenagers.
yeah.
Anything else you want to say? I know I have two questions that I normally ask that I've skipped over because I feel like we kind of answered them already, but anything else you want
Okay.
to say about Cancer before we move on to?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me just take a look at my notes and make sure. Um, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we probably, yeah, I think we got it. I think we
Okay.
got it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to take those questions out for my our future episodes. Okay. So, the lovely Suzanne, bring us into Cancer season 2024.
Right. Okay. So it's so funny because this this year so far has really felt like all these little bolts of signs moving
Mhm.
together. Like during Aries season, we had so much
Oh
Aries
my
energy,
gosh,
and
yeah.
yeah, Taurus season, we had so much Taurus. And, in Gemini season, we had so much Gemini. And to some extent, that's actually always a little bit normal. And that's because
Hmm.
Mercury and Venus are never too far from the sun. So it's actually really, really normal for that to happen to some extent. It was a little bit extreme this year. It starts to get broken up a little bit this during Cancer season. We still have some things kind of moving in there, but now we definitely see this spread, all the way kind of from Pisces and now into Leo for Cancer season.
Okay.
Everything pretty much is there except Pluto. Pluto's off in Aquarius, but everything else is there, between those signs. And so I find that really interesting. So the sun for us is going to actually move into Cancer on June 20th. That is the day of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, one of my favorite days. Um, and then we're going to have Mercury entering Leo on July 2nd. All right, so I love that now we get to have a little bit of that Cancer Leo energy. So let's go
Yeah.
out there and shine and also be empathetic and, all of that. Venus is going to follow suit, move into Leo on July 11th. Excuse me, and then Mars will enter Gemini on July 20th. So,
Mm.
so yeah, those are kind of we've had a lot of big things happening, and it's a little bit simpler this go around. We do have one kind of exciting thing happening, which I'll get to in a second here with the moon phases. We've got a full moon in Cap on June 21st. Um, and we've got it's right out of the gate. Like we're into Cancer season on June 20th, and then June 21st we've got a full moon in Cap. So as
Yeah.
soon as we get into Cancer, we're going to start exploring that relationship between Cancer and Cap, which I think is great. I always love to do new, full moon ceremonies where we do some releasing. We'll do some Capricorn releasing so that we can really get into Cancer season, because again, that link between the two signs is just a really beautiful one. Um, June 28th, we've got a last quarter moon in Aries. And notice all of these signs I'm going to be talking about, they're all cardinal signs. We've got Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra,
Got
all
it.
cardinal.
Cardinal.
And that's because the moon phases, or the major moon phases, I should say, are always, they always match the mode of the sun
Okay.
sign. That's true 100% of the time. All right, and then we finally get our new moon in Cancer on July 5th. And I love the new moon because I feel like the new moon is always the time where we really get to dive into the sign. Sun represents our ego, moon represents our emotions. Our ego and our emotions line up and they're all in Cancer. It can just be a beautiful day where, maybe we all just cry all day long. I don't know. Hopefully for a good reason. We'll see. First quarter moon in Libra on July 13th. And here's the kicker, guys. Here's kind of the interesting thing that's going on this Cancer season is on July 21st, we have another full moon in Capricorn. So
Ooh.
we get two of them. And the reason why we get two full moons in Capricorn is because, like I said, that first full moon in Cap, it's right out of the gate, one day after the sun moves there. All right.
Okay.
And so it just so happens we've got another full moon in that cycle on basically the last day that the sun is in
Wow.
Cancer. So if we were to, they call this, if we're talking months, they call this once in a blue moon when you have two
Right.
full moons within the same month. Personally, because I think a month is a made up idea. It's based
Right.
off of the moon, the moon's cycle. So I think this is the real deal, and a month is hogwash as far as I'm concerned. But so to me, this is once in a, is what we're getting here.
So I'm gonna do two things.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna highlight one of the oppositions that you and I have, because there's
Yes.
lots of ways that you and I are opposites. And when you were
Yep.
like, this is the longest day of the year, my little Capricorn self was like, that sounds terrible. You like love summer, and I'm like, could you not? Could you be a little less happy?
I love summer, friend. I do. I love summer.
I am a surprisingly grumpy old man beneath this, 30, almost 40 female exterior. I'm really just a gray haired, knobby kneed, grumpy old man.
Hello, Moon in Capricorn.
Yeah, it's just so true. Before I even knew about astrology, I would tell people, because I always used to love those videos, Grumpy Old Men. And then
Hmm.
there was a video, is it Space Cowboys? With oh my gosh, all these famous actors that I'm gonna forget. James Garner, Clint Eastwood, the
Uh-huh.
guy that plays the evil guy in the Hunger Games, um, and then the famous guy from Texas. You know, it's it's not Tom. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's a bunch of old men being
Yeah.
grumpy with each other, and I
Yeah.
love it.
That's so funny.
Then when I learned I was a Capricorn moon and I learned what Capricorn was about, I was like, huh, huh. But I will say this, because you mentioned Cancer, and this is my second point was I love a Cancer moon.
Yeah.
Since I started your moon journal, I have noticed that on Cancer moons, I feel so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to sit under a blanket and I want to eat. And I just like, it's so funny. In some ways, I feel like more Taurian because I am allowing myself to feel pleasure. But it's like,
Yes.
and now that I'm thinking about it, it is always at home. I don't
Yes.
want to go out and feel good. Like I feel best at home.
Uh-huh.
Um, I love a Cancer moon. So this is where I'm like, okay, survey time, folks. Like, get through Cancer season and let us know what your experience was of Cancer moon and whether or not you
Absolutely.
have Cancer in your chart. I really want to know. Like, is that just me? Because I bet most people feel better with the Cancer moon.
Yeah, I bet you're right. And just to let people know again, that's July 5th, and really when we're talking about moon energy, we kind of go the day before and the day after. So kind of the those 3 days. So 4th of July, that's easy to remember. And hey, patriotism, that works too. So that's beautiful. So yeah, I'm so curious about that too. And it really makes sense because the moon does rule Cancer. And
Yeah,
so you're absolutely right. Like it's a comfortable energy. It is a very comfortable energy. The other, well, if you ask traditional astrologers,
yeah,
they'll say that the moon's best places, quote unquote, I don't really like this per se, but I
yeah,
understand the
yeah.
logic of it, would be either Cancer or Taurus.
Oh, okay.
you know, and you can kind of see why, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so it makes sense. It definitely does.
So we have to hold the phone a minute there because you pointed out 4th of July, Cancer Moon. And so we're highlighting history and nostalgia.
Yes.
Uh, But because, so you said the moons are always going to be the cardinal signs. So
When they're in,
when they're
yeah, a
in,
cardinal sun.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm checking my assumptions. Every time we start Cancer season, it will be the first moon phase is going to be a full moon in Cap.
No,
Okay.
that's going to go all over the place. It's always a
Okay.
different order. It's just what the moon happens to be doing at that time. But you're always going to
Okay.
have, you know, all of the, a full moon somewhere in there. And I shouldn't say that. I don't actually know for a fact that that's I'm going to assume that that's true, but I might have to fact check myself on that. I believe that you're always going to have a full moon, a last quarter moon, a new moon, and a
Yeah.
first quarter moon in there. Um,
But
but
it
they're going to
doesn't
be all in
necessarily
different orders.
start with the full moon.
Hmm.
Okay. Because
But
that,
the interesting thing is it tends to go in cycles. So, like next month, I don't know off the top of my head, but probably next month, if we look at Leo season, probably the first one out of the gate is a full moon in Aquarius, because that's Leo's opposite. And it kind of
okay.
it goes that way for a while, and then it swaps to the next thing, and then
Okay.
yeah.
Because I, as soon as you said, 4th of July time, I was wondering, like, would that be true every year that around 4th of July is when the moon would be in Cancer? Okay.
No, it would be lovely
Okay.
if it was, but no.
I want to I want to look and see. You probably have this chart already, but 4th of July, is that was it 1976? Is that what we're celebrating?
1776.
1770.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of us is good at history. Um, yeah, I want to look up that chart and see if it was a
Yeah.
Cancer moon or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. That is a very, very popular chart. It has a name. The name is escaping me at the moment, but there's
Silby?
actually a name for that
Something like
chart.
that?
What'd you say?
Silby or Shelby or
Oh, I
something?
think you're right. I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Something like that.
something like that.
Okay. All
Uh-huh.
right. So after this, we'll have to dive into that chart and see what we find that's interesting. But
Yes.
I guess it wouldn't have been nostalgic at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I don't
but
know.
yeah, the United States of America, is its sun sign is a Cancer.
Okay.
So, and I've heard a lot of other I've never really dived into the chart, so,
Yeah.
you know, forgive my ignorance here, but I have heard a lot of other astrologers say that, the interesting thing with that, with the US being a Cancer, is that we became home and healing and empathy to so many people from all over the world, that we
Mm,
welcomed so many people, and that is what built us, as much as we try to not be that way anymore for some reason. That is what part of what made us great. And
yeah.
that it was, like Lady Liberty with open arms, you
Yeah.
know yeah. Right, that is our history. That is who we are, actually. And we, of course, we've done all kinds of bad things along the way, so I don't want to
Yeah. No one's
sugarcoat any
perfect.
of that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that has been a thing that has been true of us for, most of our history. you know
So one thing we've talked a lot about in previous episodes, but we haven't happened to mention this time, it's the theme that I'm obsessed with, which is that all of the transits in the sky and how they affect our chart, like there's no accident to that,
mm,
and that the seasons of our life are always healing us from something, preparing us for something. There's always a beauty in it when
mm,
to just be open to the beauty of what's happening. I mean, I don't know how much of this is just because I'm a channel and so I'm privy to extra information, but I think as astrologers, you often see it too, where you'll see like,
absolutely.
wow, look how beautiful that is. So I think for those of us in this election year, having a Cancer moon where here it is, we're coming to celebrate the birth of our country, and we're really going to get rooted in that identity and in that formation and reconnected to that impossible dream for the people, by the people, of the people. Like, what an impossible dream that was, that we're still trying to live up to in our own ways. So I just think it is no accident that in this year where most of the population seems to be unhappy with the candidates and most of the population doesn't want to vote,
Yeah.
that as above so below energies are saying, let's call you back home. Like, where are you planted, and then, and from where you're planted, where are you going to grow from here?
Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful. And I
It,
know it's just one phase of a moon. It's just, it just happens to be a Cancer moon. It just happens to be 4th of July. Like, people might think I'm waxing poetic about it, but I just don't think there are accidents like that.
I don't either. And there's plenty of other things to support, what you're saying. I mean, we just had our Pluto return. Pluto's now in
Mm,
Aquarius. It's going to move back into Capricorn for a little bit, before it makes the very long journey to Aquarius. And for those of you who don't know, Pluto has very long cycles. The spot where Pluto was on July 4th, 1776, we just hit it for the very first time.
wow.
So yeah, Pluto takes, what is it? I don't know, 284 years or something like that
So we're
to
literally like,
we just had our first
wow.
Pluto return. And so that the US's charts, Pluto was, I believe, 20 the 29 degrees. I might be
Yeah.
slightly off here. I believe it's 29 degrees of Capricorn. And it's kind of known, if you go through human history, that there was a lot of problems, a lot of revolution, a lot of things like that at that Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. I think that was the fall of the Roman Empire happened at that time too. But what we have is Capricorn is all about structures and building new structures and structures falling down. Pluto is destruction. So now we're like structures
Mm,
falling down. It can be not necessarily buildings when we're talking structures, but
right.
systems,
Yeah.
things like that. And you've got to tear it all down in order to build new. And guess what Aquarius is? Aquarius is building, is future oriented. Aquarius is creating something new that we never imagined before. So Pluto and Aquarius is actually an extremely exciting time. Jupiter right now for the next year or so is in Gemini, which is open minded, changing our
Mm,
minds, changing our perspectives. We've been so closed minded, I think, you
mm-hmm.
know, let's open our minds. Let's learn to see our neighbors with love. Let's learn to see what's next. That Pluto and Aquarius, let's
Yeah.
create something brand new that we never ever thought of before. So I mean, I'm an eternal optimist. I always have hope for the
Yeah.
future, but I think as scary as it has looked these last few years, I think we had to go through some of that destruction to build what's coming next. And I don't think it's been unveiled exactly
Yeah.
what's coming next. I think it's exciting though.
Well, and I love Jupiter and Gemini because in our Gemini episode, we talked about tolerance for complexity.
Exactly.
And no offense to Taurus, because I love a Taurus, but you can keep things simple to a fault.
Yes.
The right, wrong, the left, right, like, that's not really serving us.
Yeah.
Um, but just since we've already gone there, can you just, I know we're running long. Can you tell us real quickly, what's the significance of a Pluto return?
Yeah. I mean, it's coming back to whenever we have a return, coming back to that same place as when it happened the first time. You're reimagining and you're looking at the same thing, but now this is specific to Pluto return. You're digging it up. Pluto is the great excavator.
Okay.
Let's dig it all up. Let's start new. And so I think it varies depending on what you're talking about, but because we're specifically talking about Pluto and Cap here,
Yeah.
you know, we're really pulling apart those systems and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But whatever you have, even if we're talking about something else, you're going to be looking at it and tearing up whatever's not
Whatever.
going well,
Yeah. Whatever needs.
and ultimately for healing. Pluto
Yeah.
Pluto is for healing. So Pluto rules Scorpio, which, that's going to be the next water sign that we're going to talk to, a more kind
Yeah.
of evolved water. And so ultimately all of these emotions, all the water signs, or are for our healing. Pluto is there for our healing.
Yeah.
It's hard to go through though. It's not, it's
Yeah.
messy.
It's
It's messy.
so, it's just interesting because I haven't, you're talking about like digging it up and healing and how that's hard. And I was like, that's mediumship. Like
Mm,
Pluto's like digging up what's been buried.
yes,
And
absolutely. And Scorpio is all about death also.
yeah. Oh, all right. It's going to be interesting year for the US.
Yes, yes, we
So,
will see.
well, thank you all for being here. Let's all tread lightly for our lovely cancers and respect the bravery and the intensity with which they live and give them the patience and the time and the space that they need
Yes.
so that they can go and have their open hearts so that we can learn from them.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to learn more about Cancer, you want to know how Cancer is in your chart and I just understand Cancer at a deeper level and understand the season at a deeper level.
Yeah.
I put together a workbook for this Cancer season. It is totally free. If you're already on my email list, you're going to get it with the email when I talk about Cancer.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're not, I think Amy will have it in the show
Yeah.
notes. You can go there or you can go to my website, which is She Dances Under the Moon, and go to Living by the Seasons, go to Cancer, and you'll see where you can grab that. You'll just drop in your email address and I'll send it to you for free. You can figure out how to work with Cancer season. And then I also have a special because, again, like Amy said, I love summer. I love
Yeah.
Cancer season. So I decided to do a little discount just for the people who listen to this podcast.
Aw.
So $20 discount on a 1 hour reading. Just again, you can go to my website, She Dances Under the Moon, go into offerings, and you'll see that there. And just use coupon code LOVE.
Yay. And just a reminder for all of you that are new to astrology, Suzanne has a wonderful moon journal. I highly recommend. We offer joint readings, but start with a reading with her. Yes. Thank you all so much for being here. Send us your notes. I really want to know. When do cancers cry? Is everybody into history? Do you like a Cancer moon or not? I want to know these things.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
I'm
All
curious as
right.
well.
Have an amazing Cancer season, loves. Open your heart, get to your roots, and we'll see you for Leo. Thank you for listening to the Living Out Love podcast. If this episode was helpful for you, there are 3 ways that you can share the love. You can send this episode to family, friend, neighbor, leave me a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform, or comment and ask questions on YouTube. This season is meant to be interactive. Thanks again for your presence. I appreciate you being here. Talk to you next week, loves.